start with introductions first, so that we probably know each other. Well, I'll just start with, you know, I'm just going to go in the order I see everybody on my screen. So I'm going to see Victoria first.
Hi, everybody. Victoria Marley with Twin West Chamber of Commerce. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Shannon, you're our speaker today. Introduce yourself, though.
Shannon Full, President of the Twin West Chamber, Executive Vice President of the Minneapolis Regional Chamber. I have to get used to saying that now.
Okay, Mark Merowitz, the banker. Mark the banker.
Good morning, everyone. Marc Merowitz, Commercial Banking, Midwest One Bank in Golden Valley.
Al
Swintek with Centerpoint Energy.
Dan
Goldman, Twin Realty, and we own and operate multi-housing and commercial property. And I'm going to have Kara Frank tell a little bit more later on in the meeting about our newest acquisition in Golden Valley.
Woohoo! Congratulations. Christine?
Good morning, Christine Werkamp, Executive Director of Community Education for Robbinsdale Area Schools.
Marc Nevinski?
Marc Nevinski with the City of Golden Valley.
Matt?
Matthew Aiken with Tonka Financial Services.
Betsy?
Good morning, Betsy Anderson, Golden Valley Rotary, Perpich Center for Arts Education, and constituent of Golden Valley as well.
Hi, everybody, and I'm Gary Aiken, so welcome to our meeting. And as we discussed earlier, we're going to start with the schools first. I'm going to start with Christine first. How about that?
Gary, I think we've got a few more. Victoria, don't you see a few more on the screen that didn't introduce themselves?
Well, let me see. Let me see here. I'll make the bigger, see if they, oh, we do have some more people here. Okay. Sorry. So Chad, introduce yourself, please.
Hi. Yeah, sorry I was a little late. Chad Zidlick from Center National Bank here in Plymouth.
Thomas, introduce yourself.
Thomas Johansson here, Golden Valley constituent, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Nerex Medical Technologies, and also member of Rotary in Golden Valley.
Okay, and Peggy.
Yes, good morning.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Peggy Lepick. I'm a member of the Golden Valley Rotary Club. I'm retired from practically everything except volunteer work.
And Kara. Kara.
Hi, I'm Kara Frank. I work with Dan Goldman, Twin Realty Investment Company. We own multifamily and commercial real estate.
Okay, did I get everybody that's on the screen right now?
I think
Janet
so.
Keith. Victoria, did I do that? Good. Okay. So, Christine, you're on.
Good morning. Thank you. I appreciate the change in agenda order of items. I have to get to another meeting. So I just will give you a brief update on Robbinsdale Area Schools and kind of where we are. So we have begun our year in a distance learning model based on, we use a lot of different data points to make our decision on what model that we would be in. The governor's required us to produce models for a distance learning model, hybrid, or face-to-face in person. So we looking at the data points for our, not just the county, but our actual cities, and with feedback from teachers and other staff and parents, we felt it best to move into a distance learning model to start our year. We are now diligently planning the details of what a hybrid model might look like. And so that work is begun. We are looking at our data every 2 weeks and trying to determine when the best possible move will be for us to move into a potential hybrid model, or it could even be in person for some levels. So I can tell you, based on data points, you can have K through 5 as full in person with your secondary being in a hybrid as an example, or you could have all of your district in a hybrid, or your elementary in a hybrid and your high or secondary in distance learning. So there's multiple ways of looking at it, and it's dependent on multiple factors. One of the most important, of course, are the data and basically how many cases, and then also staffing. So ensuring that we have enough staff to serve our children. So we're planning all of the phases in the detailed fashion right now for hybrid. and working through the distance learning. I can tell you that, you know, last spring we were in crisis. Now we're in definitely a different mode of working through a model. And I can tell you that we're getting far more positive feedback with the distance learning model that's in place right now this fall. Our students are connected. Our teachers are doing an outstanding job in a really tough situation. Our parents are really becoming partners in this process of distance learning, and it's gone quite well. I can tell you the governor's also required that we offer free childcare to parents that qualify in a tier 1 worker category. Both parents have to be in a 2-parent household. Both parents need to be considered tier 1. In a single parent, obviously just the one. We right now, he gave those specifics quite late in the summer. So we had already taken multiple registrations from maybe just 2-parent households and only one had tier 1. So we did accommodate that for now. It's been quite a challenge. We currently have 540 kids ages kindergarten through 12 years of age in our childcare. Out of that 540, 160 are fee-based. We did offer an opportunity for some parents to participate in fee-based childcare. When we move to hybrid, that will likely look very different because your building's going to be used. So other than that, our activities are moving quite along. As you probably heard in the news, football and volleyball got pushed to spring for high school by the State High School League, and then they just now moved them back. So scheduling abounds of craziness of how to do all of this. So that's always a work in progress. We should have more information next week around winter sports. So we're just taking it basically a week at a time with the sports and a day at a time with our planning. So I can answer any questions if you have any.
Questions, anybody?
Christine, if I may, Marc Nevinski at Golden Valley. One of the issues I think from last spring was making sure that students were connected, and I'm just curious how that has evolved for the fall. Are you finding that your households are able to connect to internet, or where are you at with that issue?
Thank you for asking. We did purchase iPads and additional Chromebooks for our littles, the Ks through 2. So that they all have access to a device at home. We are still working at buying more hotspots because we do have families that are still in need of internet access. I can't say enough about how the state, actually I believe the nation needs to look at internet service the same way winter states look at heat, the same way southern states look at air conditioning. I mean, the way we're connected now, it is imperative that we not leave people out. And so we're still waiting on hotspots, trying to find dollars to purchase more and get them out. The other factor that is still hampering some families for a smoother process with distance learning is when you have multiple people in a household on devices. So you can imagine some of our parents have, well, I have my own staff person who, her husband is in IT, so he's working at home. She often works at home, and she has a high schooler, a middle schooler, and an elementary kid, so I have 5 people. And that can be taxing on their internet service. So it's that whole idea of how do we ensure everyone has access, and we're still working through that, and it is still a challenge.
Gary, do we have time for one more quick question?
Absolutely.
Great. Hi, Christine. Al Swintek with Centerpoint Energy. Also a Armstrong grad back in the day. I'm wondering, when it comes to academic learning, academic meaning classroom kind of learning, that can be done distance-wise. One of the challenges we have is there really aren't enough kids that are going into the trades. This is going to be something Shannon's probably going to talk about in terms of workforce development. And I'm just thinking, I mean, I remember my experience, Plymouth Junior High, Armstrong. I mean, classes, wood shop, auto shop, all of these various hands-on classes, those are things that basically almost saved some kids in terms of their willingness to stay engaged in school. get plugged in, and then perhaps go on to get an engineering degree or something in the trades. What is going on? You can't do that through distance learning. Any conversations around that?
So we're partnering with Hennepin Technical College, and we've offered different classes throughout the summer that you're right. The idea of coming together with a hands-on thing, right? Hands-on opportunities is not happening right now. The classes, though, the educational side of it is. So career pathways is a strong component of what our school district pushes our kids for. We do not want just only a 4-year degree. We know that that's not where the jobs are necessarily. And so we're working very closely with our community college partners to ensure that we have multiple career pathways for students. You're right, distance learning does put a little bit of a pinch in the hands-on piece, but we're still working through what can our classes look like that we have, how do we work around that? And eventually, here's the other goal. Our goal is to have kids back in school. So hopefully we will get into this hybrid and kids will have an opportunity for hands-on learning. And we have cleaning protocols that we're putting in place to ensure everyone is safe. So we definitely look at career pathways as a top priority, because I look at it this way. It's a 1 year, 2 year, 4 year is what we hope our kids get, right? Whether it's a certificate, whether it's a 2 year, 4 year, we need to open up all pathways. I've been doing career development for about 15 years now. It's as long as I've been in education. And so we value all of our workforce. And when we take a look at our community partners, we're like, where are the jobs? And you're right. The job market lends itself to the manufacturing sector, the healthcare sector. And that doesn't mean doctors. It means the LPNs and the RNs. And so, yes, we're working through those pathways and doing the best we can right now in this type of environment.
That's great. It's super important for sure.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I think, well, we'll just jump to Betsy real quick since it's on the school topic. Oh, Christine, you're still not done.
No, she's saying goodbye. Saying goodbye?
Oh, you're just
okay,
saying
bye.
goodbye. Okay, goodbye.
And Gary, I actually don't have to rush off, so I'm going to let you go ahead and move along with your agenda, and we will loop back with my report on Rotary and Perpich at the end. Is that okay with you?
That's great.
I don't have to run
Shannon.
away.
Thanks, Betsy. All right. I'm privileged and honored to get to be your keynote speaker today. So bear with me. No, on a couple of things that the committee was looking for. Everyone can hear me okay, right? Good thumbs up. Okay. So a couple things to update you on. First, I'll spend just a brief amount of time on the consolidation, but then secondly, we're really going to dive into Elevate Futures and give you a little bit of an example of what we're doing. So to Elle, you teed me up very well around the ask around what do we do in place of hands-on training and career exploration and development in the times that we're in right now. So we'll touch on that. As an update for the consolidation, on September 15th, well, let me back up on whatever it was, September 9th, I think it was, the Chamber Board met and voted unanimously. I will say there was one board member not on the call who would have voted in opposition, but the board members that were on the call voted unanimously to move forward with consolidation and recommend that to the membership. Then we called a membership meeting. This was after we had 11 visioning sessions that I conducted. The joint transition team was consisting of 6 business leaders from Twin West and 6 business leaders from Minneapolis. Had met 5 different times, really doing all of the due diligence necessary. And then on September 15th, when the membership met, we had 66 members in attendance on the call, all of which voted unanimously in favor of consolidation with the Minneapolis Chamber. This was a big step. It's a big moment for Twin West, but it's also a really big moment for each of you that are members of the organization and partners in the community. This was not a decision that was made lightly and really was made with the best intent for our members, with the best interest of our members for the future, meaning how do we make sure that we can continue to provide high quality programs and services long into the future? And there are numerous things that factor into this. Obviously, the first is just the strength of the organization. The organization now will have over 2,100 businesses that are members, the largest chamber in the state. But what that really does is it increases the opportunity for especially our small and mid-sized companies to network and market their products and services within a larger group of members. The second piece around it is really around strength and influence as it relates to public policy. Now, as we represent a wider, broader area, we've got more influence. We also have the ability to weigh in and add some leverage and support to the public policy initiatives that are happening downtown as well. Oftentimes we focus on the difference between the suburban communities and the urban core, but the reality of it is we have a lot more similarities than we may think. Both organizations have over 80% of their membership being small businesses. Both organizations have a majority of their members in the suburbs. Even the Minneapolis Chamber had 55% of their members in the suburbs, not in the downtown core. So we've got a tremendous opportunity now to leverage this, to influence that. And thus we've formed 6 strategic task forces, which you will hear a lot more about these task forces. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them right now, and I'm sorry I don't have a slide. Victoria, I should probably put a slide together that visually shows these 6 initiatives, but I'll touch on each of them just briefly and ask you to give some thought and consideration, because now over the next 2 to 3 months, we're populating task forces for each one of these 6 initiatives. So this is an opportunity for all of you that want to have a voice and an influence on how the organization is shaped in the future. Now would be the time to get involved with that. So the first initiative is advocacy and public policy. That'll be a group that will be actively involved in what should our public policy agenda, what should the issues be like that we're focusing on, making sure that we keep suburban voice at the table. So this is going to be a really important part of that work. The second initiative is small business, or I would say more business and member services. So this is all of the tactical, practical programming that we have for our businesses, but also what are we doing, what are we hearing from our businesses, especially our small businesses, that we need to implement to keep them going strong and allow for growth and prosperity. So if you have a passion in small business especially, this would be an area to engage with us. The third is around talent and workforce. Without a doubt, one of the most influential and well-needed pieces is how can we approach our workforce system to create stronger connection between the business community and education and job seekers. So this is a big deal for us. That's what I'm really passionate about. All of this initiative will fall underneath the Minneapolis Chamber Foundation, of which now I will be the president of that foundation. So this is an opportunity for us really to look at the work we're currently doing, which you're going to hear a lot more about in a minute. But then how do we grow that, scale that, and continue to support that? The fourth strategic initiative is community and economic development. This is one that all of you are taking a part in, because the business councils now will be under that community and economic development initiative work. And I will tell you, accolades to this group and the group in St. Louis Park. This is an area that the Minneapolis Chamber is very interested in us expanding and even having more of these business councils in the rest of the suburbs. So I think it's a great testament to what we have going on here with Golden Valley and with St. Louis Park. So I would just ask in that community and economic development space, if you've got a passion in that area to help us grow these, shape these, continue them, engage with us there. That is one task force we're still looking for some tremendous leadership, even in a chair role. So, so that is the fourth. The fifth is partnerships and affiliates. This is one that was in the Minneapolis strategic plan before we joined together, but it is one that is the core of our success. The more that we can create strong partnerships and affiliates, that will allow us to not only make sure we can represent our members well, but that we're representing the region really well, so that we're focusing on growth and prosperity, but we're also taking into account the different lenses that people bring to the table. So really excited about that work. Some of that work includes the work that we have with our school districts, with Hennepin County, with the cities, with other nonprofit organizations that are doing work that's complementary to ours. So lots of great opportunities there. And then the final one, as any good organization, our sixth strategic initiative is organizational excellence. That's really looking at how do we strive to be the very best organization that we can, using best practices from all over the country, but also insights that we have from other great nonprofits and for-profit businesses here in the region. So those are the six strategic initiatives. I tell everybody that, believe me, getting to consolidation was not easy, but now is really where the hard work begins, right? Now is where all of you have an opportunity, and I would say, if you're a member, a responsibility to help us shape what the future of the chamber looks like. If we want to maintain a strong suburban voice, make sure small businesses is front and center, we need to show up and help to shape that going forward. So there's my little plug to all of you to get involved. I'm happy to take any questions on the consolidation, and then we can move on to talent. Oh, the one piece I did say, we will keep our office in St. Louis Park. It's really important for us to keep a local presence. That was heard loud and clear from our members, and a local team. So Victoria and Laura, I mean, all of our team members, the roles may shift some, but especially Victoria and Laura, you'll continue to see here in the suburbs, and myself in the Twin West area. So I'll pause and allow for any questions if you have any.
Questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a couple questions. First, what do we call you now? What is the organization?
The organization. So the organization is going to go through an entire branding exercise and a naming exercise. For right now, it's the Minneapolis Regional Chamber because we needed a legal name to make the consolidation happen. So, but that is one thing that the board is going to actively do, is pursue, does this represent us, or shall we go through another naming process? Great question.
Minneapolis Regional Chamber.
Correct. And
Excellent.
Marcy. Yep.
Oh, cool. And then you already actually answered the question I had, because we have had the opportunity to get to know so much of your staff over the years. So I was going to ask, what about the staff? So I'm happy to hear that you're all going to be there. So thanks.
Yeah, and not only are we all going to be there, as many of you that are involved in public policy know, we have a tremendous staff person in John Paul Yates, and we had to furlough JP when we went into COVID. We're happy to say Victoria signed on the dotted line. He did, so he'll be back October 1st, and will continue to represent kind of suburban policy affairs. So this is a really big move for us as well. So yeah, very happy that all the team members are staying on, and some of them in slightly different roles, but I can tell you that the staff is really excited about it, and we're excited about the future. So other questions? Yeah, Thomas.
Yeah, hi Shannon. Thank you for that great summary and update. Newer to Golden Valley and to Minnesota. My wife and I moved from Los Angeles, just looking to get active in business and community development organizations. I see that there's a Chamber 101 virtual meeting Wednesday, October 7th. Would that be the best recommended meeting to attend if we want to get involved with Twin West? And is it still going to be called Twin West, actually? Is this the second question?
Well, yeah, we'll still call it Twin West for a while. This is all an evolution, right? So it's definitely not a flip of the switch of any means. So yes, you can call it Twin West, you can call it Minneapolis Regional, it doesn't matter, right? Well, yes. Chamber 101 is a tremendous opportunity to find out more about what the organization does, some of the players. We have members that are part of that as well. You are more than welcome. Welcome to the area. A little change from LA, but we're glad to have you here. And if you need anything at all, our team is really great about helping make connections, especially for those that are new to the area. So just let us know. We're happy to help you out.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, I'm going to take, go ahead, Peggy.
Okay, I had to unmute. What do you envision when you say regional? How far out do you anticipate that you might go? beyond Twin West. And I'm wondering if the suburban voice is going to get lost in that. And another question would be, are there major differences in outlook or approach or issues between the suburban and particularly exurban areas and the closer in urban areas?
Yeah, great questions. So how far out do we go? What's the reach? Chambers don't have any boundaries. Interestingly enough, even in prior to the consolidation, Twin West technically serves 10 communities, but 35% of our membership was outside of those 10 communities already. So this is I would say it'll be mostly Hennepin County focused, but we know, for instance, we have about, I think it's 8 or 9% of our membership in St. Paul. So there's a tremendous, the philosophy with Chambers is really, if you do business in the areas that we serve, it's in your best interest to engage with us. So that's the area answer. As it relates to what was the next? Oh, suburban voice. This was something that came up in every single one of our visioning sessions, and we made sure that the joint transition team implemented pieces to ensure that the suburban voice doesn't get lost. So here's a couple pieces of that. One, through staffing. So we will have a suburban team that we're dedicated to that. The second is obviously keeping a local presence so that we're able to serve our members better in the suburbs. And there's also an office in Bloomington and an office in Northeast Minneapolis. So it's really kind of focusing on how do we bring the suburban voice and actually elevate that, lift that up even higher. The third is around some of the governance of the organization. So right now we've got in the board of directors matrix, that what has been adopted has been 60% of the board of directors will be from suburban companies, will represent the suburbs. So that continues to have leadership, will continue to have presence, that it isn't just a downtown type of an organization. The same thing is true about small, mid-size, and large business representation on the board. We've got percentages for a goal for each of those. We've got diversity percentages in there. So there are numerous factors to the board matrix that will ensure that the leadership continues to represent the voices that we need to represent. Did I answer all of them?
Just one left. I mean, not quite, almost. What are some of the leading differences in policy or whatever?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest areas of difference is really around public policy, right? And I wouldn't say it's necessarily difference as it is, we know there are policy positions that are at the local level and the state level that are advantageous to suburban businesses. We also know that, for instance, some of the things, some of the onerous regulation that's happening out of downtown Minneapolis, the Minneapolis City Council, is not welcomed by some of the businesses in the suburbs. And so we actually were asked, this was part of the reasoning behind the consolidation, is that Twin West is able to bring some additional suburban clout and influence to actually help influence some of that versus kind of align with it. The Minneapolis Chamber has a very strong reputation with the mayor's office and the city council, but I would not tell you it is a lockstep one, right? This is an organization that often challenges the city on some of the rulings that they're making. And so, there are definitely differences. Dan Goldman's part of our public policy group, and that's something that this group will continue to discuss, right? What should our policy positions look like? Are there differences? But at the end of the day, we know as a region, we need a strong downtown urban core. So we're very concerned about what are the short-term and long-term effects of the civil unrest? How do we make sure that we can address this? What is the policing going to look like? Because not only do we need the downtown core to be strong, we also know that often what happens in Minneapolis starts to trickle out into the suburbs, and we want to make sure that we're able to kind of weigh in on that and also keep a finger on the pulse of what's going on there. So thanks for the question, Peggy, or the questions. Those are great.
And Shannon, while you're speaking, I noticed that John Paul was announced that John Paul's rejoined the chamber, is back on board with the team.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
So
it's great.
I guess that
We're
kind of
really
relates to
excited.
Betsy's thing about staff. Yeah.
Yeah, we're really excited to have JP back on board. He's fabulous. The members really like him. He's very skilled and very professional. So looking forward to that. So I'm going to take just a few minutes. I don't want to take too much of our time, but I do. I'm going to take about 15 minutes to talk a little bit about our talented workforce initiatives. This is a massive opportunity for us. It's also been something we've really leaned into. So our talented workforce work currently, we partner with 10 of the public school districts. So you can imagine all of the districts in the western suburbs. We partner with them through the Hennepin West Consortium. We also have partnerships with Hennepin Tech and North Hennepin Community College. And now most recently, we have a significant partnership now, a contract with Hennepin County to deliver some of the same Elevate Futures, which you'll see in a moment, which is our technology platform married with strategic relationship development. We are offering this access to all of the community-based organizations in Hennepin County that have partnered with Hennepin County for dislocated workers and job seekers. And so our goal with the work that we're doing is to really streamline the way in which businesses can engage and be a significant resource for students, teachers, and job seekers to help explore different careers and pathways, to navigate their future, and then to create connections and relationships with the local companies. So we do this through multiple things. We have a large regional advisory board. There's about 55 educators and business leaders that participate in these regional advisory board meetings once a quarter. I'm saying all of these things because if you're interested, jot them down and let Victoria or I know, because we'll always look to adding more business leaders, community leaders, and educators to these regional advisory boards. We break the advisory board into the different pathways. So Al, to your point around the trades or manufacturing, or we break it into the pathways and actually have dialogue around what are the greatest challenges and needs within these pathways, what can business do to help answer some of those, what could be some of the solutions or resources, and then also businesses are helping to influence curriculum within the schools. And this is an opportunity for them to engage in those conversations. So those happen on a quarterly basis, the regional advisory boards. The second piece that we do is a very interactive teacher externship program. Our teacher externship program happens 1 week in August. Generally, we do that in person. Some of you have been hosts for us in the past. Thank you very much. But we generally take educators and immerse them into businesses for an entire week or for 4 days. And they get the experience of engaging with business leaders, developing actual curriculum. So they're putting together lesson plans that then they implement into their school day. And so the past 2 years, 2 years previous to this, obviously we were in person. We had 17 educators and then 23 educators. This year, we moved to obviously an all virtual component, and it was overwhelmingly positive as far as the success. We had 53 teachers that participated, over 30 businesses. Some of those businesses, worldwide global businesses, because we were able to access high-level speakers from those companies through the virtual format. We did 4 days of very interactive small group work, and then the businesses gave their, went through an entire background of their business, but also what they hire for, what the attributes and skills that they are most looking for, what are the highest demand jobs that they need, and then worked with the educators to build lesson plans during the actual session. So we came out with multiple, over 20 different lesson plans. So all of that happened. That was a very good piece. We anticipate that the virtual component of this will remain, and we will do a virtual career fair every year and scale this throughout the state, provide access for educators all over the state to access it. but then those that we partner in through the Hennepin Tech Consortium, Hennepin West Consortium, what we will do with that group is that's where we will organize the in-person components of this so that they get the best of all worlds in this. So that's the Future Exchange program. We also do a talent symposium. That's an annual event once a year. It's to dive into some of the greatest challenges facing education, workforce, the business community. We did a human-centered design last year with about 100 people. They were community leaders, business leaders, students, parents, teachers. It was a very robust discussion with great results. We had 34 recommendations that were co-created by the group as ideas for us to move forward with some of the greatest challenges facing career and technical education. So we focused specifically on CTE last year. The final piece in the talented workforce space is the actual technology platform. So this is the platform that I've said is kind of the diamond in it all that we're trying to use to connect all of this work that we're doing. So I'm gonna take a moment and actually share it with you so that you're able to see some of the work that we're doing. So let me get this little, I hate when these little screens pop up and you can't see what you're doing. So this is the homepage of Elevate Futures, and I would encourage all of you to go on. It's just elevatefutures.com. You can create a login either as a user under 18 or over 18, if you want to go in and actually see from a job seeker or student viewpoint. If you are an employer, this is a big deal. This is a great opportunity for you as a business to increase your visibility, to offer skill-based volunteer opportunities for your staff and connect with the local community, but also to create your own profile that has your top demand jobs. This is an active job posting board, which you'll see in a minute. So you could post jobs, post internship opportunities. It's a pretty robust system, so we'll see it in a minute. Or if you're a training provider, you could do that as well. So I have already logged in as a couple different things. So here's me logged in as a student or a job seeker. So the student or the job seekers are, when they log in, this is kind of what they'll see. This is their homepage. I'm going to talk about some of the features of Elevate Futures and what we have that we offer here. So Elevate Futures has numerous different aspects. The first thing that happens when a student or a job seeker comes in is they create a little profile about themselves. So they enter some things about themselves. They can then identify what they are. They're a student or not a student. They are currently attending, middle school, high school, or university or technical college, and then have they completed any certificates. They also then are able to choose some of their preferences. So this first question is, how do people describe you? As they go in and change the pieces, what this does is it really has smart technology on the back end of this, and it is creating the different opportunities that they're going to see in their dashboard. So this is a really important piece. So as they also talk about what I'm interested in. So if they're really interested in manufacturing and building and construction, they're going to start to see jobs related to these fields of interest. In addition to that, they also are able to say, these are the skills I'm really good, these are the things I'm really good at. Because the other thing we want to help do is help them navigate, if I'm really good at these things, but I don't really know what field I want to go into, this allows us to help recommend different fields that have these skill sets. Then they're able to continue 3 different things, building a resume, finding new opportunities, or start learning. If they click on building their resume, the interesting piece about this is that they're able to then edit and add different components like experience or certificates of license, additional skills that they have, their background education, community involvement. And then I'll talk about badges in a minute, but essentially the badges are, we have over 160 different online courses or badges that students or job seekers can complete. Once they complete these 45-minute to 90-minute online courses, they automatically populate to their resume. And then employers can identify, these are the badges that we really see that align with our industry or our careers. And they can actually use it as a prerequisite for candidate tracking or kind of sifting through their candidates. So then once they are done with it, they can view what their resume looks like. Looks like my internet's really slow. So here's the resume with those badges that are associated with it on all listed on their resume. They can also upload their own resume so that if they have their own resume done, they can move forward with that. I want to make sure. You guys can still hear me, correct? Yes? Okay, good. Because I just
we can hear you.
Okay, great. Just looks like my internet is giving me challenges. So then the next thing that we jump into is the career side of it. So this is the exploration side of it. This, as I said, is they can search by particular careers. They can search by experience level, salary range, career cluster. They can also these are populating based upon their interests. So these are career cards. We have over 1,200 different career cards in the system already. We are also actively out there shooting career video cards with local businesses. So that's another thing I would say if you want some visibility as well as want to help us to populate some of the kind of the highest demand careers that we have here in our region, feel free. We would love to have you do that. We have numerous different, just think of what's, and I'm just going to show you one. I don't know if my sound will work. I'm really hoping that'll be the case. But when they see a career card, let's say they're interested in construction, a construction manager, they can go in and they can favorite the card. But if they go in to look at the card, what they find is a video. I don't know if you're hearing that, but essentially it's a video of somebody in the job talking about, this is how I got into the job. This is what the job entails. These are the skill sets that are needed. We're able to then find additional information that will pop them out to another screen. Labor statistics, local labor statistics and local market demand for those jobs here. Average salary, a description of the position and the pathway. All of this is hugely accessible. So we've got closed captioning, we've got digital literacy components that the whole thing can be read aloud to the seeker. Then we are able to look at, these are the skills, knowledge and personalities associated with the job. Here are all of the local job postings, and the postings are sorted according to zip codes, so closest to the student or the job seeker. You can see the different opportunities that are here. They can go out and see the post and actually apply directly from here. Any jobs that are posted within our system, you can go out and apply and actually message the employer directly from here as well. These are some of the badges that are recommended. So this is where, as a construction manager, these are some of the basics that would be helpful for you to take. You could go through and take these badges, and then that populates to your resume, as I mentioned before. And then finally, here's the local education opportunities. So it's also linked to our local schools that are providing training in these fields. So as I mentioned, there's over 1,200 different careers. They can go in and when they favorite these will show up in their dashboard, and they'll be able to monitor and track the different jobs that are available with them and whatnot. There's also the learning, as I mentioned, the learnings are all of the different courses. So for instance, we even have a Get Ready to Work course. So when we talk about the soft skills that students don't have, this encompasses some of those soft skills, effective and respectful communications, safety, job retention, customer service. These are all courses within that basic kind of ready to work piece. So that's a very high level of a student view. Maybe I will ask if there are any questions, particularly for the student side. And then because of timing, I won't show you the employer side, but there's an entire employer dashboard. Actually, I have to show you really quick because it's going to be, it's pretty cool. This is an employer dashboard. I'm not going to go into it in great detail. But I will tell you that as an employer, some of the things you're able to do are you put your profile in here. With a click of a button, you're able to say, yes, my company would participate in virtual career fairs. These are very popular now. This builds a booth right for you as a company with little or no work on your part. And then as the different organizations, so for instance, we have a organization called Disability In, an entire statewide organization that's going to use Elevate Futures for their November career fair. And so your company can be highlighted in here. During the career fair, there will be live chat, interview opportunities, exposure opportunities, that type of thing. But the companies can also upload any media. So if you've got video clips, you've got documents, anything you want to promote your business, you can choose what industry you're in. But then this is really the connectivity part that I wanted to make sure we didn't miss. If anyone in your company is willing to do these types of volunteer opportunities, so guest speaking in a classroom, interviews, field trips, internships, we're adding to this soon. There will be some additional pieces like virtual internships, virtual site visits, where companies, we will video a company tour and have those company tours accessible here. So this is the point, and why I wanted to share that was, this is the point around when Christine is saying it's much more difficult now due to COVID and our virtual environment. We actually are capitalizing on that virtual environment and making this available to our students and our job seekers. So there's a lot more I could go into. It's very high level, but for our businesses, it's 100% complimentary for companies to do this work. The only thing that there's additional fee for is if we come out and shoot video, we have production costs for that. Or one of the greatest assets to this is if you've got job boards already, this does seamless API integration into your job boards. So we can just integrate and you don't have to do any more around the posting side of it. So for our schools, our school districts pay a very small amount to access this platform and give it access to all of their students and their teachers. So there's another whole piece, Betsy, just for your sake, there's another whole piece for teachers. There's a teacher dashboard. They can do assignments through this. They can track progress of their students, all of those pieces. The Hennepin West Consortium also pays a fee for us to do this work. Hennepin County pays a contract fee for us to do this work. So that's what we have going on. It's very exciting. There's a lot behind it. If you want more information, I'm happy to do this for anyone. So Betsy, as I said, it's, from the students' perspective right now, we try to offer it to only partnering schools, but I will tell you, we've got some students already that logged on that said, we just really are excited, we want to do this, and we are certainly not standing in their way. Our whole goal is to get as many people as possible using the system because it really does streamline the work and it makes it so much more robust. So there you go. That's what I know from Workforce.
Wow.
Any questions?
Pretty impressive.
It is very impressive. It's very exciting. I am super passionate about the progress that we've had with this, and we've got tremendous technology partners. In Workbay is the company that is our technology partner. They have 12 full-time learning management software, content creators, production team. They came from the education world. So the CEO has her master's in education and has done this work for over 20 years. So we get to, it's kind of crowdsourced all across the country. So we get some of these job cards from all over the place. But that's why our goal is to get more and more local companies filmed for job cards, because then we'll be able to create those connections even quicker. So I'll pause. Any questions for me?
Questions? Anybody?
Shannon, Marc from Golden Valley here. Just one thing I guess I've noticed, Greater MSP has been kind of touting the need for talent attraction in our region for quite a few years now. And I'm just curious if, this obviously kind of fits into workforce development and talent. I'm just wondering if there are conversations that you're having either with Greater MSP or other chambers or associations, so that there is perhaps some sort of broader regional coordination here, or is this something that you're really kind of forging and leading our region with?
Yeah, great question, Marc. So our mantra is collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. So anybody and everybody that we can collaborate with, we are seeking. We've had some initial conversations with Greater MSP, and this is very complementary to the work that they're doing. So if they're doing talent recruitment work, which is really a great space, that's not work that we do, right, in general. Ours is all about connectivity when they're here. Our goal with Elevate Futures and the work that now we're doing with Hennepin County is to take this statewide and have a statewide system that could really be very unique, right? And very streamlined, very robust. We've been in discussions with Mankato. Mankato is very interested in having an Elevate Futures Mankato, but all of it would be connected from the back end, which is really advantageous for a business if you've got multiple locations throughout the state and you can utilize this in all different aspects, but also for us to use it for school districts. We've got new opportunities with corrections. You can imagine that the correction system could use this, adult basic education, the CTE consortium. So it goes on and on about where partnerships could happen. So I would encourage as well, if you've got partners or ideas of people that would be interested in this, we're really excited about growing it and leveraging it. And so are our partners, right? Our schools are saying, more and more schools involved, that greater it is, right? The more businesses involved, the more robust the system becomes. So I would also encourage you, if you've got networks of businesses, Marc, we'll be asking our cities this next week to distribute our business collateral. Will be ready next week that kind of tells more about the business case for getting involved with this. We want this distributed broad and wide, right? It should be a no-brainer for businesses to jump onto the platform.
Shannon,
other questions? Yeah.
When you put this together, what thought did you go into? Because you're into I really love this local concept, especially partnering with our schools, and it's a community-based one because you got LinkedIn and all these other sites that are huge national, ZipRecruiter and everything else, and they're pretty spendy. Quite frankly, to get and so this looks like it could be a great alternative. Now, some companies have their own recruiting sites. Some of the big companies. So you're saying that you'll not only that you'll integrate with them if they want to, but basically this is geared up for an alternative to those sites. Is that correct?
It could be an alternative, but to be quite honest with you, Workbay is really skilled at the integration side of it. So right now we already scrub a couple of national job boards. That's how we get some of these jobs. But the integration side of it, they're so savvy. They're so savvy integration with businesses, but also right now we're working with our school districts to integrate with the existing learning management softwares so that students have a single sign-on. So when they sign on to their Schoology or, Betsy, you can name all of the different ones, right? D2L, any of these, that when they sign on, Elevate Futures will actually appear right on their dashboard and they could go right into it and use it. So the integration model is really the way to go. But I will tell you, Gary, a lot of our small to mid-sized companies don't have that type of a piece. This is a great access point for them. And the major differentiator in all of this, and you touched on this, is the local strategic relationship development that's happening. That isn't what any of the, I mean, even our schools are saying, we've got Naviance and other career exploration. We've got a couple schools saying maybe we replace Naviance with this, because this adds career exploration with the local connectivity to the communities, which and the local businesses, which is so essential. So yeah, it's a pretty cool deal. I don't, it's taken a lot, 3.5 years to get us here, I'll tell you, but it's very unique. It's something that Workbay is really proud of, and we're one of their greatest partners. But it's also not inexpensive. We pay a tremendous amount for kind of this unlimited access, and we have kind of an unlimited license for the entire state of Minnesota. So we'll be able to grow this however we see fit. So.
Okay, well, I'll be very curious to see how competitive it is compared to the other ones. If it's competitive, it certainly is going to be a winner, that's for sure.
Great.
Any other questions?
Shannon, Mark again, just to clarify, this isn't limited to, say, high school or college students. I mean, if someone, maybe in their late 20s, early 30s or beyond is looking to make a career change, or maybe they were displaced, this is a resource for them as well? Correct?
Totally accessible and very relevant for them. So this is the work we're doing with Hennepin County. We're working with 21 community-based organizations like Hired and Avivo, and to work on this for dislocated workers and displaced workers. So yeah, it could be anybody, right? My friend just lost their job, or they want to make a career change. Great, they should log on, and they can do that at any time. It's open access for anyone. So. Great. Thanks, you guys, for the opportunity. I'm sorry I have to jump off, but really appreciate the time, and I hope you can help us spread the word on this, because it's a really exciting initiative that I'm hoping really get some traction. So,
Shannon, real quick. So this was an awesome pitch that other people in my organization, and I presume other people's organizations, are going to need to hear. Yep. I guess one of the challenges is, I mean, to really go through it, it's an hour. Maybe.
Yep.
So that's okay. It sounds like we coordinate with you.
So
but I'm also thinking, man, if you could somehow tee up like a little mini video or something that we could sort of, use as a teaser to kind of share a little bit of this information. I'm thinking, in our organization, we've got ops people, HR, which is in Houston, Texas. But we've got local folks here that actually do the interviewing, on and on. Yep. So it really is exciting and cool. So
great. So I'm working on shooting some videos. We've got demo videos already of the actual system, right? You can go on, and super easy to navigate. I didn't mention this, but when you're on the system, there's a little question mark in the bottom right corner, and then a video pops up, and it tells you, here's how you make your resume, here's how you search for jobs, right? But it doesn't have the compelling piece. So I've been told of this kind of piece. So we are going to work on shooting some video for some of this. But we also have a crazy amazing team. So Workbay, we've got 4 or 5 Workbay individuals that are willing to do demos and this type of thing. Myself, Sherry, who's the foundation president at the Minneapolis Chamber now, or our chamber now, she's ramped up to this as well. So we also want to do some actual business intro sessions and invite multiple different. HR is a really good, entree, right? Invite some of these HR leaders in small groups so that we can do it more in a group setting. So yeah, any ideas you have, Al, about that? But yes. Big deal is we'd love to get some businesses as our first champions and reference some of that. So if we've got that opportunity, we would welcome it. We're doing the same thing with Excel Energy, US Bank, some of those others as well. So
great.
I would also mention just briefly that we are recording this session. So I'll be able to coordinate with Victoria. We'll get this session out on social media, and then you can share it far and wide so that you can at least, guide them to this, this 15 minutes or so to watch.
Great.
Nice.
That's awesome. All right, everyone, I must go. Thanks. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, next on our agenda is usually the city report. I guess, Mark, I see you as the only representative from the Golden Valley City. Can you give us a report? What's going on in Golden Valley?
Yes.
I should explain that we got notified by Shep and others that they couldn't make it. So it's not like they're just leaving Mark out here by himself. Everybody, they had previous things that they couldn't make the meeting today.
Yeah, it's a busy time, lots going on, but I think just maybe a couple or 3 or 4 things to maybe highlight. One of the goals that the city has had over the past, well, probably over the good past year, and was sort of put on hold when the pandemic really hit, was the hiring of an equity manager. And equity is something that as a management team we've been really exploring and talking with other cities and trying to learn more and more about. And obviously, as we get kind of deeper into this topic, it's something that's just more than our HR person can take on, given everything else she has going on. So, we working with our Rising Tides Commission, we ended up hiring an equity manager. She actually came out of the Robbinsdale School District and had been working on all kinds of equity issues related to education. So. We're not exactly sure how this job will probably all come together, but it's definitely a very key focus for us. Our Rising Tides Commission has put together kind of a plan, prioritizing some areas for us, such as how do we do contracting, for example, and purchasing. How do we get more people of different backgrounds involved in our community on boards and commissions, those types of things. So we now have someone on board, and we'll be working more in that area with a lot more effort now. Maybe secondly, to touch base on the city, as all cities have to do, adopted its preliminary budget earlier this month. So there was a lot of discussion. I think our council is sensitive to the fact that we're in a pandemic, that the economy is soft to say the least, probably. And what does that mean for our residents and our businesses in terms of taxes? So definitely, I think the pencil was sharpened, and we did try to drive down some of those costs. We've got kind of a minimal increase in COLA for staff, so to kind of be sensitive there. But we do have some things that we want to move ahead with. And one of those things that's also been a priority for the city over the last few years has been housing. The city has a housing and redevelopment authority, but we do not or have not levied in the past. So the city there's plans to pursue a levy for housing and redevelopment efforts. And that will include, the levy really will help to fund a staff person to focus on housing. So really trying to make sure that we are able to provide resources, that we're working with our landlords, trying to provide affordable housing and preserve naturally occurring affordable housing. All kinds of things in that realm. Currently, that's kind of a task that gets divvied up among various staff members, and we're all working on little bits and pieces of it. But we need a much more concerted effort in that realm. So that's what we'll be doing there. This person will also be helping quite a bit with some of our economic development efforts as well. So that will probably be online after the first of the year. And then a couple other areas, and frankly, we could use your help trying to get some people involved in these other areas. One thing the city is doing is looking at all of its facilities and really trying to develop a long-term strategy for what we're doing. Our city hall is fairly old. It's not well laid out. If you go into our city hall or go into some other city halls and compare them, there's some significant differences. Similarly with our fire service, we've got to move to a different model, a different staffing model. Unfortunately, our facilities don't lend to that different model very well. So how do we start to rearrange things? Our public works operations are split out into 4 different buildings, not very efficient. We don't like the idea of having a downtown that's bike friendly, walkable, as we're trying to go that route, and then having pedestrians trying to compete with dump trucks and front end loaders. It just isn't a good mix. So we're looking at what is our overall strategy. We've developed and are finishing up a downtown plan. And part of that plan includes looking at what happens on the city campus itself. We're thinking that maybe the southern portion of our campus might be a good opportunity for some private investment that supports our business community and makes our downtown a more vibrant place. We still want to keep city functions like our city hall, our DMV, police and fire downtown. We think that's a critical piece to a strong downtown, is having those civic functions and civic opportunities. We're looking potentially at partnering with the library. Perhaps there's a city hall library joint use type building. So long story short, we currently have received about 13 RFPs from a variety of different architectural teams. And we're going to be doing a deep dive into what our facility plans should look like in the future. And we are looking for residents of Golden Valley and businesses in Golden Valley and institutions in Golden Valley to serve on our task force, probably a couple hours a month, maybe looking at about 4 to 6 meetings. We'll hash those details out once we have selected a consultant. But I would appreciate you getting the word out. If you know of people that are interested, have perspectives, we would love to have them, especially businesses, on that task force.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Is there a description on the website anywhere that Cheryl has put together for you guys?
There is actually. The newsletter just hit mailboxes this week.
Yes.
And you can go to the website and get a nice summary of that. The application is out there.
Great.
So looking forward to getting that in. And then the other task force that we've developed is actually we're looking at modifying our I guess our civil service commission and moving towards maybe something more called a police commission of some kind. And we've got a task force put together. We'd like people to, or that we're putting together, and we'd like to get people on board to help the city through that process. How does that overall process of working, transitioning from a civil service to maybe something that's a little different, how does that look? How does that address some of the concerns that are out there today? I think one of the big issues is that it's been difficult to hire police officers. We've lost a lot of candidates because our process has been more cumbersome. So again, looking for a variety of different perspectives from the community on that. There's also information out on our website about that and an application. And if that's an area of interest, please take a look at it or share it with others. We just greatly appreciate that. I would just maybe close my comments by saying it's really important, I think, to get more people involved in local government, and one entry point is a task force or a commission, and we certainly want fresh, new perspectives, and we want to invite people who maybe haven't been involved in the past to participate. So thank you, and I guess I'll answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
I have a question. I'm wondering if there are any plans for the southwest corner of 55 in Winnetka, where there is now basically a gravel pit, I guess. Any plans for that area? Or are you looking at that along with the area north of 55?
Yeah, that's a great question. Currently, there are tennis courts located there, and then there's kind of a hill that I believe has developed over the many years. One of the challenges with the Brookview area is that it was purchased with federal funds called lock-on funds, and our ability to maybe repurpose that corner is very, very limited and complex. And so I believe we looked at that, I want to say about 5 years ago, as we started to talk about Brookview, and we have backed away, I think, or we have not pursued anyway, anything further with trying to develop that corner, at least at this time. So I don't necessarily see anything changing there. at least in the near term. You know, some of the other things that are potentially happening, we could see some redevelopment on the southeast quadrant of Winnetka and Highway 55. The city is considering some rezoning there based on the comprehensive plan that was recently developed. So some changes can happen there. There's also some serious talk about bus rapid transit along Highway 55 with a stop at Winnetka. So that we want to increase the ability, convenience for people to move north and south over Highway 55, try to tie in Brookview as part of our overall amenities in Golden Valley and in the Winnetka area. So those are some things that are coming that could certainly change how that intersection.
I have a question about that large apartment project that's being built directly north of Allianz and kind of kitty corner from Colonnade. I was wondering if they have a time that they're planning on finishing. It seems like they've been working on it for about 3 years.
Yes, so that project has, you're right, has been taking quite a while. It was initially approved, I want to say back in 2013. It received entitlements. And I know that they ran into some issues early on with, I think, an easement. I think there was an Excel power line that wasn't identified, a pretty significant one, and there was some contamination, and so they had to deal with those things. Without probably getting into too many details or speaking about things that I don't know, a whole lot about, I think the developer is working at a pace that that's sort of their business model. And we understand when they did a project in Bloomington that it took, quite a few years to get that project done. They're based out of Omaha, and they have a different model. I understand that they hold their property, more or less in perpetuity. It's not necessarily a typical financial model with a lot of investors. And so they can kind of work at their pace, and they're apparently less worried about trying to hit certain market cycles than probably most developers. They are making progress. We are doing regular inspections out there. Our building official is talking with their foreman on a regular basis. They, I think, are hoping to try to get occupancy, at least in part of the building soon, but they have a lot of work to do. But we are in close contact, both our building official and our fire department talk with them regularly. So there is progress, even though it doesn't necessarily look like it.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Mark. It's a great report. I think we're going to go right to the Hopkins School, and Alex Fisher has joined us. Welcome, Alex, and give us the Hopkins School District report, please.
Thank you. Can you hear me right now? Okay, great.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much. It's good to be here. Let's see. Hopkins is doing well. We successfully opened our elementary schools and secondary schools and had about 4 first days because we're doing hybrid learning. So K through 6 is learning in person. We have 2 groups, Monday and Tuesday groups, and then Wednesday and Thursday groups. Whatever, so it's like A and B days. If you're an A family, you're in person. If you're a B family, then you're distance learning. And on Fridays is a day to do really learning that don't involve screens. So more small projects, more outside learning, more individual type learning where they're off the screens. So that has been doing great. And our principals have been amazing leaders, because it's so complicated to figure out, and there's so many moving parts, and staffing is complicated. And we've been purchasing a lot of outdoor tents. Thank you to the Golden Valley Foundation for gifting us a lot of PPE. We're really grateful for that, and that has been so incredibly helpful for our district. So the tents are great. We have some outdoor classrooms set up at our elementary schools. Eisenhower Elementary has an completely outdoor classroom set up at Metzel's Field in Hopkins. Even in the winter, they're going to be learning outdoors. So we're doing some creative things. The challenges for us have to do with staffing right now. It takes more staff to do hybrid learning, and right now a lot of staff don't want to learn in person or teach in person. A lot of staff are unable to teach in person for various reasons. So we're trying to do the best we can, with the limited staffing we have, keeping in mind that we have ratios that we have to keep of 14 to 1. So it makes it complicated, and that's a challenge we're facing. The secondary schools, so grades 7 through 12, are completely distance learning. So they seem to be doing fine. There are challenges there as well. But I think for the most part, that's going very well. We have many new principals in our district. We have a new high school principal named Crystal Ballard, who comes from us from the Osseo School District. We also have a new North Junior High School principal named Julius Aromaselli, and he also comes from us from the Osseo School District. Alice Smith Elementary has a new principal named Eduardo Navidad, who I believe comes to us from, I want to say, Eden Prairie. And then we have a new assistant principal at North Junior High named Hinda Abdi, and Hinda comes to us from Minneapolis. And Gatewood Elementary, as many of you know, Greta Evans Baker left. And what happened?
Meadowbrook.
Sorry, Meadowbrook. I always get those two schools. Sorry, Meadowbrook. Yeah. So Greta left Meadowbrook, and now Natalie Sawatsky is the principal there. She's doing a great job. The assistant principal at Meadowbrook is Trenton Lawson, and Trenton used to be an assistant principal at our high school. So he's new there as well, although not new to the district. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell. We're keeping eyes on the county data as far as who has COVID and when we might need to pivot to either try to do in-person learning or completely distance. But right now, we're doing our best to make it happen and doing a pretty good job, I think. Thank you,
Alex, for the report. Thank you. No questions, so I'll move on to Betsy.
Thank you, Gary. So really quick, Dan mentioned earlier that he wanted to talk a little bit about a recent acquisition. I just want to make sure that we don't lose time for him to do that. So do we have time to do that really quick before I do my spiel?
Sure, I'll turn it over to Kara. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to go, Dan, Kara?
She may have stepped away.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Some of you might be aware of a building on Olson Highway. It's called Valley Plaza. It's a 31,000 square foot building, 2 or 3 blocks towards Minneapolis from 100 on Olson Highway. There's a sign on the front that says Centennial Dental. It's a beautiful building that we tried to buy about 5 years ago, and about a week before the closing, the seller backed out because they realized they had a huge prepayment penalty on their mortgage. Well, Kara's been keeping a close eye on it since then, and it finally became available by a process called an auction. And the auction was yesterday, and we won. So we'll be probably closing within the next few weeks, and look forward to that building. It's a great. There's Kara.
Hi, sorry, I just ran up.
I was just talking about Valley Plaza. It's a great 2-story building. What's great about 2 stories is these days if people want to use the stairs, they can, or they can use the elevator. Free parking. You'd be downtown in 10 minutes. Kara, do you want to share anything else about the building?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great building. We've been watching it for some time. I'm not sure how much background Dan gave, but it's a kind of an underutilized building in Golden Valley, I think. Really nice corner, great construction. We have 2 vacancies in the building that we'll be leasing, and we just look forward to being long-term investors and improving that corner. That's all.
Great. Congratulations to both of you. I know it's,
Thank you.
It's always great when you see a long-term idea come to fruition. So congratulations on your deal.
We both love the building, and we were so disappointed when we didn't get it about 5 years ago. So we're excited.
Great. Congratulations. Thank you for the report, Dan. And congratulations for more investment in the city of Golden Valley. Thank you. Thank you, Kara
Thank
and
you.
Dan, for investing in the city.
Thank you, Betsy.
Betsy, you want to go for your report?
Thank you, Gary. After the third time deferring, now I will give my report. So yes, from a Perpich Center for Arts Education perspective, we decided we were going to start the year in distance learning, which we did for a couple of weeks, and then we split our student body into thirds by art area. So at any given time, 1/3 of our students are on campus or in our dorms. Quick reminder, Perpich Arts High School does accept students from across the state of Minnesota, so we have students from all parts of the state. If they are coming from a long distance, they live on campus in our dorm. And so right now we are in our second week of on-campus learning. Group A was with us last week. So for example, all of our dance students from across the state are in Group A. So they are on campus together for 1 week. Gives them an opportunity to actually do some choreography in person, some collaboration in person, which then continues to inform the work that they do in distance learning for the following 2 weeks. So 1 week on campus, 2 weeks in distance learning. Right now we have Group B on campus, and next week Group C will be coming. So fingers crossed that we can keep that 3-week rotation going. So far it's been going very well. If any of you have teenagers in your life, you know it can be difficult to keep them apart. So we do constantly say, are you 6 feet apart? And remind them to separate. But you know, they do fully understand that their willingness to abide by our restrictions, our rules, allows them to keep coming together. Because if we can't keep them apart, if we can't keep them healthy, then they can't keep coming back to campus. And we want them to be on campus. One of the things we also did going into the school year was we invested in a MacBook Air device for every student. So regardless if they are on campus for that week or if they're in one of their distance learning weeks, they have the same device as all of their classmates and as all of their instructors. So a common device has been helpful in all of the transition. For example, I want to give you one really quick example of what this looks like for Perpich. Last week, we had actually this week, we had our dance students completely in distance learning. So you've got the dance instructor in the dance studio with all of her dancers on a big screen, and they're doing movement together from all corners of the state. We had our junior music students on campus and our senior music students in distance learning. So you've got our music instructors in the performance hall with their juniors spaced out in the space, and all of the seniors on the big projected screen, and they're doing instruction to both sets of students at the same time. And then we had our junior visual arts students on campus, completely on campus. So we had all of them in the gallery working on hanging pieces of artwork. What does it mean to build a show in a gallery with their instructor? So that's how we are making this work. Creativity continues regardless of where they are, and it's been exciting to watch and a little exhausting as well. So fingers crossed. And I just wanted to quickly say from the perspective of a Hopkins school parent, I think that our school district has been doing an extraordinary job. We are ridiculously proud of all of the measures they have put in place to keep our kiddo and our kiddos' teachers safe. And we couldn't be prouder. So I'll just plug that in there. For all of public education, we think you guys are amazing. And then Gary, if you're okay with me transitioning to a Rotary hat, I can do that now?
Go right ahead.
Okay,
right ahead. Beautiful.
Thank you. I have to say, we had one of the most fascinating presentations this week at our Rotary meeting. And I'm going to be giving Peggy Lepick some shout out here as she's knitting. Peggy Lepick does an exceptional job of securing top-notch speakers for our Rotary Club. And this last Tuesday, she did just that. We had a presentation on the program called Mapping Prejudice. The recording of that meeting is going to be shared online later this week via the Golden Valley Rotary social media. It'll be on our Facebook, our Twitter, our YouTube, our Instagram. I cannot recommend enough that you take 40 minutes to watch that presentation. It was fascinating and sobering, and just it needs to be seen. So what I'm also going to do in the chat here, I'm going to pop in a link because CCX Media did a story not too long ago, a handful of months ago, about a program that is somewhat similar to, it's connected to the Mapping Prejudice theme that's actually being applied here in Golden Valley. So Mapping Prejudice is all about these racially exclusive covenants that were written into deeds, into property deeds. Most of them started being written in the early 1900s. These covenants are now illegal through a Supreme Court decision that I think happened in the 60s. However, the language still remains. And the understanding of what that language did for generations to isolate white folks from people of color and the opportunities that were given to some and not given to others. That's what's extremely important for us to be educating ourselves on and learning how we can go forward. So one of the ways that Golden Valley is doing this is they've got a program called Just Deeds, where they are assisting Golden Valley residents in removing those racial covenants from their property deeds. There's a group of attorneys that are doing this for pro bono. They're trying to make it as easy as possible. And Maria Cisneros, who is the Golden Valley City Attorney, is instrumental in making this happen. And she's actually interviewed in the CCX Media story because when her family moved into Golden Valley, sure enough, her house had this language written into it. Like I said, fascinating topic. You have to watch this Rotary meeting. We'll make sure we get that video out to you all. And like I said, Peggy does an amazing job of getting these great speakers. So if you want to know what an upcoming speaker looks like, please go to our website, goldenvalleyrotary.com/speakers. I'm doing the plug, Peggy. I'm doing it. and see what the lineup is, what the lineup looks like for the next month or so. We usually have about a month's worth of speakers posted. So you can make some plans to join us on Tuesdays at 12:15. And we are meeting in a completely virtual way right now. So it's super easy just to log on and join us. We hope to start getting a little bit more hybrid experiences together. And certainly when Brookview is available to us again in a way where we can meet in person, we will definitely be exploring that.
Okay, Betsy?
Yes.
Well, thanks for the plug.
Absolutely.
I would like to invite anybody here who knows of an interesting speaker or interesting topic, let me know, because a lot of the people I find is because somebody else has suggested it.
Absolutely. And so the people that we're looking at right now in this meeting, they might want to be a speaker at an upcoming meeting. They might have an interesting topic. We for sure want to try to get Hopkins back on the schedule, Alex, because it's been a couple of years since we've had somebody from Hopkins speak. We want to be connected to our local school districts and connected to our local businesses. So definitely keep that in mind.
I think probably the easiest thing to do is connect with Betsy, and Betsy can pass it along to me.
Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for the report. Victoria, before we adjourn, any last announcements? Anything the Twin West wants to announce?
Let's see. Well, we, of course, Shannon did, the consolidation. That's a pretty big piece of it. But we've got, let's see, some of our events. We've got the Issues and Insights next Friday, or October 9th, which we are looking at the election. So please, we'd love to have you. It's a webinar. It's free to everybody. So do hop on our website to register. And then we've got some candidate forms for the Northeast or Northwest part of Twin West. And those candidate forums are happening now and through October. So that's another big project that we are working on as well.
Okay.
Victoria, I'm so sorry, Gary, really quick. Victoria just mentioned the candidate forums, and I was remiss in mentioning that the Hopkins Legislative Action Coalition is also hosting a candidate forum Saturday, the 26th, and that's going to be on Facebook Live. So that is interviewing or having candidates speak who are going to be representing part of the Hopkins Public Schools, which is a very large section of our area. It's everywhere, everything from Golden Valley to Eden Prairie. But having an opportunity to hear from those candidates about issues around education. So I would invite anyone here to join us on Saturday. There are several different time slots throughout the day based on where you live, because you likely want to hear from the candidates that are going to be on your ballot and not on somebody else's ballot. So do look at the schedule and hop onto Facebook.
Well, thank you everybody for attending the meeting today. Make sure before you sign off that you look at the announcement that Alex Fisher shared. And thank you again, and we'll talk to everybody in a month. So everybody have a great month, and thank you for a wonderful meeting.
Thank you.